Na Irlanda, sacerdotes e freiras arrebataram milhares de bebês dos braços de suas mães. A razão: nascer fora do matrimônio. Estas crianças foram declaradas órfãs e remetidos a escolas industriais administradas por ordens católicas, as quais eram patrocinadas e financiadas pelo Estado. Seus fins: receber dinheiro por troca de cada criança ingressada, escravizá-los a trabalhos duros diariamente, sem dar-lhes pagamento em troca. Ao chamar estes lugares de escolas industriais, a sociedade pensava que estas crianças estavam recebendo educação e que estavam nas melhores mãos, porque se supõe que ordens religiosas são servidoras de Deus. Mary Smith, uma sobrevivente desta instituição, fala em exclusivo ante as câmeras de telegrácia para revelar o que realmente viveu.
I was never a child. I looked upon us as a scrubbers, and yet we were children, but we were nothing. Who was my mother? And where was my mother? She said, "You're a nobody, you're only an orphan." She said, "You're my slave now." Because I was alone in the world and still am, because of what happened. I only then realised afterwards that I was 14 when I left that concentration camp.
Mary, who's responsible for this?
Well, if the priest gave orders to lock up my mother, it has to be the church. And O'Callaghan was the state, so it was the church and state. But this cruelty man called O'Callaghan, who worked for the state and was paid, the more he locked up, the more money he got. Well, in the industrial schools there was a big huge laundry there, and it was massive laundry, and when you got up in the morning you were out in the yard in the freezing cold and you done your exercise. You had two big bars and you had to do your exercise as children, you know, to get you ready for work. And there was a farm there was a laundry there was also a convent there, so you either went over to the convent or you went to the laundry or you went to the farmyard, or if not you worked in the, you know, in the industrial school itself. And we never had any toys, we never had any, you know, playground. We didn't know, and as a matter of fact, like, we got beaten over nothing. The leather strap was constantly there, as a matter of fact. And the more he locked up, the more money he got, because we never got paid in them places for the slavery and the work we did. I mean, since I've been a child, I've been working physically hard work. And not alone the beatings I was getting as a child, you know.
Were you forced to pray?
Pray, we never. I can't kneel down.
Why not?
I can't, because all the prayers I did and all the slavery, I can't never remember being off my knees. If you weren't down on your knees praying, you were on your knees working. And I was talking to them as a wee child, little girl I was, and I was asking them, myself and another girl, what was it like to go to school? Because we should have been in school, the sport was out. And a nun came along and we heard her coming, so we hid under the bed. Myself and another girl, we heard, because we could hear the rattling of the beads. When she was coming, and I said, "There's a nun coming," and we hid. And when I hid under the bed, she said, "What are you doing there? You should be working." And she went back and told, she said, "You should be talking to people. You are not allowed to talk to the outside world." We were known as scrubbers and industrial schools. And when we used to walk down into the town in Clonakilty, they used to throw stones at us. Here comes the industrials. We were only children, because they all looked upon us. They all looked upon us as the scrubbers, and yet we were children, but we were nothing, because that's the way they looked at us. I only then realised afterwards that I was 14 when I left that concentration camp at 14, when I was put into another place in Mallow in County Cork. and they were more humane, but still were called the Sisters of Mercy, which they had no mercy, because they were the Catholic Church, which I don't believe. But the church and state caused all this, and I don't believe that they should have done the abuse they caused us. But how I ended up in the Magdalen laundries, where I was put to work, there was this woman, and she was a friend of the inspectors, O'Callaghan's, okay? And I was working in this massive, massive big house. There was 8 bedrooms. I wasn't allowed to use the toilet upstairs. She said, "You're a nobody, you're only an orphan." I had to wash myself outside in the yard. There was a room beside the kitchen, and the first day I went to work for her, she was a long white coat in me. She said, "You're my slave now." And O'Callaghan used to come and collect the money that I worked for. And I wasn't aware of this. Was, even though I was searching and crying and looking for my mother at the time, at this stage I was wondering what a mother was, who was a mother, what does a mother look like? You know, I began to know then there's such thing as a mother, and this is when my life started to devastate me. Who was my mother? And where was my mother? That I wasn't the way I was, that O'Callaghan, the cruelty man, had locked her up because she was an unmarried mother. But prior to that, the priest, where I come from in Newmarket, County Cork, gave the orders for my mother to be locked up because she was pregnant on her second child. I didn't know how to contact the outside world, so I couldn't tell anybody, you know, that what was going on. So I had no family, I had no one to turn to. So I was in this big house all on my own, at 16 years of age, and no one to turn to, and all I had. And I often wonder, where is my mother? Because I was alone in the world and still am. Because of what happened. They kidnapped my mother.
Mary, who's responsible for this?
Well, if the priest gave orders to lock up my mother, it has to be the church. And O'Callaghan was the state. So it was the church and state. They tortured me. They ruined my life. They took away everything I ever wanted. And that was hope, love, care, understanding. Everything a human being should have got. Animals were treated better than us. Animals were treated better than us. Animals were treated better than us.
Se você foi vítima desta instituição, fale agora, não fique calado. Escreva-nos a contacta-nos@protegeatushijos.org.